Hi, I'm going to do another video about not being a nice guy, about the toxic elements of masculinity. And I've got a funny thing to show you. So I don't know if you can see down there, but I've got one of those beautiful red and white toadstool mushrooms. And of course, that straight away made me think about toxic masculinity. I'm not sure if it's toxic, but I'm not going to eat it. So here's the thing, right? This is for men who believe that there are elements of their masculinity which are dangerous, yeah? That they are never, ever, ever going to feel love, they're never, ever going to get their needs met if they expose the true animal nature of their evil masculinity, yeah? So what do you do in circumstances like that? You hide the evidence. you hide all of the powerful elements of yourself. You hide your passion, you hide your drive because it's a little bit dangerous, yeah? So you kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater is the idea. It's like, well, so I'm not supposed to be aggressive and violent, but I kind of am a powerful, driven individual. And there are times when that requires defending your boundaries, right? Intrinsically, there is nothing wrong with aggression if it is appropriate. It's a human response. But we have so many stories running about the sort of the maladapted ways that men, typically because men are stronger, can use violence. Then the end result is this kind of desperate trying to hide that. But the thing is, if there is an element inside of you which you try and hide, well, the more you put a lid on it, the kind of stronger it yells out to be seen. Whereas the more open you can be with the fact that you are what you are, well, then the less it needs to yell. So what I'm trying to say is, it's like the more you try to hide the evidence, the more likely you are to end up being explosively aggressive because you can't accept and embrace everything inside of you, right? What's going on is there is an element of you which is shamed, which is being suffocated. If you instead take the approach that, men are men and women are women, and I don't know what that means to you. I'm not even sure what that means to me, right? We're in a world where masculinity and gender and femininity are in flux. And it's a sort of a dicey area to talk about because it's something that people are very easy to become offended by if they hear a story which is, it's not in sync with their own experience. And sexuality is such a powerfully provoking subject, adding to that element of kind of shame or taboo potentially, the unstated nature of it, that you can get to the point where all of those elements of yourself are suffocated. But, well, they require expression. If they aren't expressed, you kind of don't really live your life. So if you find yourself hiding the evidence of your basic human needs as a man, okay? It doesn't have to be as a man, but specifically as a man, well, then they're going to find outlets, yeah? You're gonna, it's a little bit like using self-soothing, addictive, compulsive strategies. Because if you're not allowing yourself to be you, well, that creates a sense of pain, a sense of internal schism. And so you're gonna need a way of soothing yourself, which is gonna be some sort of a habit which you end up doing to excess, which then reconfirms, recompounds the badness that you think about yourself. which reconfirms and recompounds the need to self-soothe. And so you end up on a very, very dark downward spiral based around hiding the evidence of this intrinsic badness inside of you, which is not necessarily bad at all. It's just a story that has come from your upbringing, from the stories that you see around us, that from the media, a whole variety of places. So somehow or other, there has to be a safe way of exposing what you're hiding. Yeah? So maybe step A on that is naming what it is that you're hiding. What are the elements of yourself that you just, even if you don't know why, you just know you cannot portray to the world? Because if you did, people would no longer like you. Okay? Maybe just for the space of a week or two, journal the moments that you avoid being yourself, that you limit yourself, and just observe it and write it down. And you'll very rapidly notice a thread as to what it is that is not acceptable. While you're at it in the same journal, write down the things that you're doing to excess, because it might be important to notice, or you may already know. Once you know, how do you break a shame-based cycle? Okay? How are you going to get back to the point where you can just breathe and exhale and be you? Well, shame says, I am bad. I am wrong. The natural conclusion to that is to hide that element of yourself, which then goes into all these nice guy symptoms. When it doesn't work, the natural conclusion is just to try harder, because you kind of think that you really, really must be even worse than you thought, sort of thing. Or you might even think that you're absolutely fantastic, but that people just don't get it. You know, that's another delusion, which is possible. The way to break the underlying perception of the shame, though, has to be to find people that accept you just as you are, right? It's unconditional acceptance. If you can do that with other people to start with, if you can name what's going on with people that are safe, okay, people that are not themselves shame-based, that are prepared to just hear you out and give their reaction, you might be amazed at what their responses are and how far away from your perception they may be. Even the things that you've done in your life as a result of these nice guy symptoms that in your head are massive, massive mistakes. Somebody else might look at that and then go, my word, you've lived, you know, you've been so brave, or whatever it may be, I don't know. But the point is, they're going to give you aspects of a response which you're not habitually coming to yourself. So that's going to shift your notion of what it is to be good and bad, yeah? So that you can then look yourself in the mirror and go, oh, you're not as bad as I thought you were. It turns out masculinity is not as bad as I thought it was. It turns out it's quite good fun to be a guy, you know? It's like, if I consider all of the pluses and the negatives of masculinity, whereas before it turned out that there were many, many negatives, well, actually, no, it's just an aspect of life, and that there are pluses and minuses to everything. And when you embrace that, it doesn't have control over you. You have control over it. So you feel safer. You feel more like you. You're more able to push the boat out. You're less likely to kind of play it safe. And so you can breathe, you can express yourself, you can be you. Then life becomes joyous. Yeah? So the whole problem with a nice guy scenario is that life is not joyous. It's stifled. It's dull. When you start to understand what's going on in the stories of your mind, it can be an incredibly releasing thing. If that all makes sense, go have a look at the other videos. There's a whole load that I'm going to do on this subject because we can talk for a long time. All right, cheers. Bye.